Hello, welcome back to the Red Path. Today I'm going to do a little video on some leaks that have come out. I don't normally like to do this, both Dara and I try and stay away from this kind of content. However, there just isn't much going on right now. Got a couple videos in the works, and I know Dara's got some stuff he's working on as well. But just want to touch base and address this because it could be relevant, especially for us as World Eaters players, coming into the end of the ITC season. Some big changes presumably going to happen next year. So the leak we're going to talk about is apparently it's from a Goonhammer article that was posted and then removed. I don't know how trustworthy this is. It could just be a complete troll job, some way to deflect some attention somehow. Nothing against Goonhammer, I'm just saying this is coming from Reddit and it's apparently a Goonhammer article. This is based on the invitational, like the finals for the US Open series that will be taking place shortly. They're going to have some exhibition matches which are apparently going to use the new rules, which was, I believe, confirmed in a Warhammer community article. So I just want to touch on these. Now, don't take this as gospel. Take it with a handful of salt. But I do need to get a video out. It's been about a week, and I've just been feeling really guilty because there's nothing I've got ready to release right now. So I'm just going to talk about it, and it is hypothetical. We will look at it as though it's true. And it just gets us able to start thinking about the future, because I can see something like this happening even if it's not exactly this. So on the screen you'll see a highlighted section of a paste bin, which is allegedly from a Goonhammer article. So, take that as you will. But the key points here are changes to the way primaries are scored and the way secondaries are scored in the GT missions. So the big changes, we'll start with the primaries, that are going from 5, 10 and 15 for hold 1, hold 2, hold more, or hold 2, hold 3, hold more, is going to 4, 8 and 12. Now, we don't know if that means it's going to have like a cap at 36, and that would be interesting, or it's going to take basically an additional round. It will take the entire game to cap out at presumably 45. So that's quite an interesting change. It does elongate the game, which is good for some armies, bad for other armies. It also, to me, implies more interactivity, because there are certain armies out there, very resilient tanky armies, that are very happy to just plonk units on objectives, raise the banners, oath the moment. Well, I mean, that's a different thing, but those armies that have very easy to score secondaries and that sometimes coexist with primary scoring, they kind of automatically get a lot of points just by being non-interactive. So by spreading out the way the points are scored, it does mean that kind of war of attrition will have more of an effect on those armies. Once that Terminator blob is finally removed in round 3 or round 4, it could help swing the game, because there's an extra round for the the opponent with the disadvantage there to bring it back round. We don't know this, but I feel that spreading out the points over 5 rounds instead of potentially 3, well, it'd be 4 rounds versus potentially 3, it hampers and gives a bonus to resilient armies, because they can play the longer game, but it also means they have to play the longer game and have to perhaps be a bit more aggressive in ensuring they get that swing early on and really capitalize on it. And that does mean that alpha strikes, and something that World Eaters can do reasonably well, we may have a little bit more play if we can pull them off, like the 5th objective or something early on, and make them come out and make them keep trading. Again, not entirely sure how it's going to play out. So it does also mean that there could be a change to the cap on scoring primaries. Right now it's 45 primary, 45 secondary, and 10 for your battle ready status. So this could change to 36, assuming it is 4, 8 and 12. It could go to 40, could go to, any number is really possible, but I'm kind of assuming it will stay 45, unless an additional point here, it reads that instead missions now have additional primary objectives that reward players for accomplishing certain actions. This is in place of mission-specific secondaries, and the examples it gives are raise or data intercept. So having an additional primary objective, such as kill 3 units in a round, it could be that that gives you an additional 9 points towards your primary score, and you only have to score 36 from actually holding objectives. Again, depending on what those primary objectives are, those additional objectives, that could be really good for older codexes or particular list builds, alpha strikes or fast aggressive armies. And that does enhance the interactivity and the balance of the game, between different archetypes. So I'm hopeful for that aspect. I like that because some of the mission secondaries are just trash and some are just auto takes. There's 2 that you pretty much are always going to take. There's a couple which are considerations, especially for those of us with 8th edition codexes, and the majority of them, the remaining 4 or 5, are just, there's literally no reason to ever take them, realistically. So that's going to be interesting, how that dynamic, how it finalizes and how that sells. So the next thing that the article does mention is secondaries, that 2 of the secondaries have undergone major changes, and there are more changes, on the way, but they're not aware of them at the moment. So that will be interesting. Secondaries are such a fun part of the mission. Unfortunately for armies like us and for anyone else currently running an 8th Ed Codex, we just don't get much choice. And armies, I think really the World Eaters right now are probably the only faction that really suffers because we don't have the option for psychics now that the Black Templars are out and obviously Drukhari are out there. Necrons, Tau as well, I guess. So Tau and World Eaters are currently suffering because we're pretty much exclusively barred from one of the subsections of secondaries. Of course, Abhor the Witch does crop up, especially versus your Grey Knights and Thousand Suns and stuff. But overall, it's we really suffer in choosing. So having some more diversity there, having some options that have been jigged around, that's always good for the game, and it helps enhance us older armies. However, with the overall change, that does mean, or with the overall change to secondaries, that does mean 9th edition armies are also getting more choices, which, given they are better suited to playing the game, may make them, may make some pretty broken combos. Hopefully that's been considered with the timing. Hopefully this chapter approved is roughly on schedule with the codexes that have dropped and are about to drop. Obviously we've got GSC custodies. Apparently we'll be getting Tau, Eldar kind of early in the new year. So it's interesting to see where we go. But I don't know, any changes to the primary and secondary for me is good. So what does this mean for World Eaters or combat armies or Chaos Space Marines? We already generally want to play aggressively. Now we do have like a combined arms tactic, which is generally one of our kind of meta plays as World Eaters. We like to have some big shooting units, whether that's your Lord of Skulls, Contemptors with Volkite, Decimators, whatever. We like to have those holding our backfield, and then we use our Berserkers and Warp Talons and aggressive infantry to really try and clear a path to allow us to capitalise on scoring points. With the changes to primaries, this may help us. The way that obviously primaries and some secondaries are scored are, focused on objectives or areas of the battlefield. And now with the potential that this is going to take place over an extra round, being able to move block and, slow down an enemy army early in the game is going to have a greater impact, because they have to be able to hold on for the entire round, or for the entire game, and score points. However, likewise, durable armies will benefit from this more than armies such as us who have 1 wound. This will particularly hurt against the psychic stuff that's going on right now, as it's pretty gross. Not having that 2nd wound really hurts. I know that's a broken record, but it really sucks. And just falling down, like, you're being side down like wheat, it hurts, and you often lose out on so many points, so many victory points, just because we fall down to a stiff breeze. So I can see this could go either way, and I know that's kind of really non-committal and ambiguous, but durable armies may get an incredible buff from this, because by nature of their army, they're just going to outlast us anyway. So your Deathwing, your Death Guard may see a bump, which isn't necessarily bad. I can see Necrons as well being able to take advantage of that. But I do think that means we as World Eaters have to double down on our ability to absolutely remove units. We have to remove the thing that will score them the points. This will change our target priority. At the moment, we can kind of be a little bit laxed in what we take out. We like to take out an alpha unit with our Warp Talons, and then whittle down stuff with our, decent shooting that we can provide, and, throw our Berserkers in, or our Raptors, things like that, which will take out MSUs pretty easily. I think now we're going to have to very much focus on scoring units. We're going to have to take out the MSU squad sitting at the back behind a piece of cover or something like that. So I think we may possibly see a slight change in our meta to, I think, Whirlwinds unfortunately might become something a bit better, or the particular Rapier Cannon or the Land Raider Achilles, although they're just like out of line of sight bolter shots. Line Breaker for the Vindicators, I mean, it was already good, but it does offer kind of a bit of an advantage in punishing things which are trying to hide. There are things that we can do. We don't do them very well compared to other armies and other legions even, but there are things we can do, and I think we may have to start adjusting our meta for that. The way we build our list, we're going to have to make sure, perhaps instead of removing their big T8 monstrosity turn 1, we're removing their ability to score. So even though we may lose the tactical game on the table, we can win the strategic game. And outscore our opponent. I had a game at the weekend versus Sisters, which went exactly that way. I was getting absolutely hammered in the trades, in the combats, but I'd planned everything. I don't want to sound like I'm a great player here, but I had actually thought about the way I would play the game, and I knew I could outscore by doing certain things just because of the nature of the Sisters army I was playing, and it did pay off. Admittedly, I had a little bit of luck in that, but I'm going to kind of talk about that in another video that I'm working on. Finally, we're going to have to really make sure we don't give up secondaries, which isn't too bad for us. I think my army, which is similar but not the same to a lot of meta armies, only gives up 7 points to bring it down, 7 points for assassinate, things like that. We tend not to do too bad on secondaries because we don't run sidekicks and stuff like that. It's scoring secondaries which we have a hard time, and obviously many strong armies can pretty much guarantee that they're going to get 45 points for secondary regardless of what we bring. But it is something to bear in mind. I don't think we want to be giving away more than 10 or 11 for any secondary unless we absolutely have to. I mean, if you're running triple Lord of Skulls, well, more power to you. That one's okay. But other than that, I think it's just another aspect we need to consider. So I think overall my advice at the moment, just based on rumours, and no playtesting on my part, nothing like that, but just thinking about it, and just trying to consider what I may need to adjust for. I think we really do need to go back to looking at out of line of sight shooting. We need to focus our target priority on the units that are scoring. Whatever that unit that will be something on a backfield hidden by ruins normally, right? And making sure our secondaries aren't giving away too many free points, because like I said, everything on our army dies pretty well. Even the Khorne Lord of Skulls will get taken down, especially with the amount of psychic shenanigans going on right now. The likelihood of facing Grey Knights or Thousand Suns, or practically any army, Death Guard can be pretty vicious in the psychic phase as well, for example. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Again, I do want to reiterate, we don't generally do these kind of rumor-based videos. It's not something we're about, but with the lack of news at the moment, it's kind of just got to put out something. I do want to again point out that this is just based on a claim on Reddit, so it could be entirely fraudulent and could be completely trolling, or Goonhammer may have posted it as a way to troll the community, and if they did, well, good job. But you know what? It's free content. It's free real estate, right? So I'm going to end this one here. Hopefully this does come round to being, somewhat pressy, and there's a little bit of truth in this, because I would like to see a major shake-up. I think the game, whilst it's good at the moment, it does need some changes, because it's allowing some factions to run away with things. And all of those of us with 8th edition codexes, we're suffering. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to end it there. If you enjoyed the video, please, let us know in the comments. If you didn't enjoy the video, leave a comment below anyway, telling why we suck. Give us a thumbs up, consider giving us a subscribe, come check us out on Instagram, join the Discord, do all the cool stuff. Really appreciate you. But for today, that's it. I'm going to end it here. Stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main bird.